Have you ever stopped to think about the routines you follow every day? Those little actions repeated over and over that shape who you are and where you're headed? That's the incredible power of habits. They might seem small, but they're the silent architects of our lives. Now, what if I told you there's a blueprint, a guide, that can help you master these habits? Dive deep into their very essence and harness their transformative power? Enter Atomic Habits by James Clear. This isn't just another self-help book. It's a journey into the heart of habit formation, revealing secrets that can change your life. So, are you ready to unlock the mysteries of your daily routines? To discover the tiny changes that can lead to remarkable results? Stick around, because we're about to dive into a world where small actions hold the key to big transformations. The power of 1% improvements. When we think about change, our minds often jump to grand gestures and massive shifts. But what if I told you that the secret to profound transformation lies in tiny, almost invisible adjustments? That's right, it's all about the power of 1% improvements. Imagine trying to improve something by just 1% every day. It might sound insignificant at first, right? But here's the magic. Over time, these small enhancements start to add up. And not just in a linear way, but exponentially. This is where the beauty of compounding comes into play. Think of it like saving money. If you save a little bit consistently and earn interest, over time, you'll not only earn interest on what you saved, but also on the interest itself. This is the essence of compounding growth. Now, apply this idea to your habits. By getting just 1% better each day, over a year, you won't end up 365% better, but rather a whopping 37 times better. It's easy to overlook these tiny changes because they don't deliver instant results. But remember, a plant doesn't sprout the day after you sow the seed. It takes time, care, and consistent effort. Similarly, your 1% improvements might seem invisible at first, but they're silently laying the foundation for a future you can be proud of. So, the next time you're aiming for a goal, don't get overwhelmed by the distance ahead. Instead, focus on that 1% you can improve today. Because in the long run, these small steps can lead you to destinations you've only dreamed of. Habits and identity. When we talk about habits, it's not just about what we do. It's deeply tied to who we are. Every action, every choice, every routine we follow paints a picture of our identity. And here's the fascinating part. Our habits and our identity are in a dance, each influencing the other. Have you ever said, "I'm not a morning person," or "I'm just bad at math"? These statements aren't merely reflections of our habits. They're declarations of identity. And once we believe them, our habits align to prove them right. It's a cycle. But what if we could change the narrative? Instead of saying, "I want to read more books," what if we said, "I want to become a reader"? Or instead of, "I want to run a marathon," we say, "I want to become a runner." See the difference? The focus shifts from a task to an identity, from achieving to becoming. When we center our habits around who we wish to become, the actions follow more naturally. It's no longer about ticking off a checklist, but about living out a part of your identity. Every time you pick up a book, you're not just reading, you're being a reader. Every time you lace up those running shoes, you're not just exercising, you're being a runner. So, as you think about the habits you want to build or change, ask yourself, who do I want to become? Let that vision of your future self guide your actions today. Because in the end, it's not just about doing, it's about becoming. The 4 laws of behavior change. When it comes to building or breaking habits, it's not just about willpower or motivation. There's a science to it, a method. James Clear, in Atomic Habits, introduces us to the 4 laws of behavior change, a simple yet powerful framework to understand and shape our habits. First, let's break down the 4-step process. Cue. This is the trigger that initiates the behavior. It's the smell of fresh coffee that prompts you to pour a cup, or the buzz of your phone that makes you check a message. Craving. This is the desire to act. It's not just seeing the notification, it's wanting to know what the message says. Response. This is the actual behavior or action you take, like drinking the coffee or reading the message. Reward. This is the positive outcome or benefit you get from the action, like feeling awake after the coffee or feeling connected after reading a message. Now, understanding this process is great, but how do we use it to shape our habits? Here's where the 4 laws come in. Make it obvious. For a cue to be effective, it needs to be noticeable. Want to exercise more? Lay out your workout clothes the night before. The sight of them can be the cue you need to get moving. Make it attractive. Amplify the craving by making the habit enticing. If you want to eat healthier, find delicious recipes that also happen to be good for you. Make it easy. Reduce friction and make the response simple. Want to read more? Keep a book on your bedside table so it's the first thing you see in the morning and the last thing at night. Make it satisfying. Ensure there's a clear reward. If you're trying to save money, visualize what you're saving for. Each dollar saved brings you closer to that dream vacation or special purchase. Remember, the key is to work with your habits, not against them. By understanding the 4-step process and applying the 4 laws, you can create a system where good habits flourish naturally. Environment over willpower. We often hear about the power of willpower. If you just try hard enough, you can do it. But what if I told you there's something even more influential than sheer determination? That's right, it's our environment. Think about it. How often have you snacked on cookies just because they were on the counter? Or skipped a workout because your gym shoes were tucked away? Our surroundings, often subtly, shape our choices and habits every day. Our environment acts like a silent prompt. It can either make our desired habits easier or put obstacles in our path. For instance, if you're surrounded by junk food, eating healthy becomes a battle of wills. But if you stock your fridge with fresh fruits and veggies, making a healthy choice becomes the default. So, how can we design an environment that helps our habits thrive? Here are some tips. Make good habits. Visible, keep things you need for your positive habits in plain sight. Want to read more? Keep a book on your coffee table or workspace. Reduce distractions. If you're trying to focus on work or study, consider apps that block distracting sites or create a dedicated workspace free from interruptions. Optimize convenience. Make good habits easy to do. If you want to exercise, join a gym near your home or office. The closer and more accessible it is, the more likely you'll go. Rearrange. If you're trying to cut back on snacks, don't keep them at eye level in your pantry. Instead, place healthier options front and center. Remember, willpower might get you started, but it's the environment that keeps you going. By making small tweaks to your surroundings, you can pave the way for habits that last a lifetime. The 2-minute rule. Starting a new habit can feel daunting. We often picture the long road ahead and get overwhelmed. But what if there was a way to make starting easier? Enter the 2-minute rule. The idea is simple. When you're beginning a new habit, make sure it takes less than 2 minutes to do. Sounds too easy, right? But that's the beauty of it. Instead of thinking about running 5 miles, just focus on putting on your running shoes. Instead of meditating for 20 minutes, start by taking a few deep breaths for 2 minutes. Now you might wonder, how is doing something for just 2 minutes going to make a difference? The answer lies in consistency. In the early stages of forming a habit, what matters most isn't how much you do, but how often you do it. Those 2 minutes are less about the actual task and more about building the routine, the repetition. Over time, these 2-minute starts act as gateways. Once you've put on your running shoes, you might think, well, I'm already here. Why not run for a bit? Those few deep breaths can easily turn into a short meditation session. The key is to get the ball rolling, and often, the momentum carries you forward. So, if there's a habit you've been putting off because it feels too big, break it down. Find the 2-minute version of it. Focus on showing up and doing it every day. Because in the world of habits, consistency is king. And sometimes, all it takes to get started is just 2 minutes. Embracing the long game. In our fast-paced world, we've become accustomed to instant results. Instant coffee, instant messages, instant everything. But when it comes to habits, there's no instant button. It's all about playing the long game. Building habits is a journey, not a sprint. It requires patience. Think of it like planting a tree. You water it, give it sunlight, and care for it. But it doesn't grow overnight. It takes time. Similarly, with habits, the real growth often happens beneath the surface, unseen, before the results show. This brings us to an interesting concept, the plateau of latent potential. Imagine you're pushing a giant boulder up a hill. At first, despite all your efforts, it barely moves. But once you get it to the top and it starts rolling down the other side, it picks up speed effortlessly. Your habits work in a similar way. There's a period where you're putting in effort but seeing little reward. This is the plateau. But if you stay persistent, eventually the results start pouring in, often faster and more significant than you'd expect. It's easy to get discouraged when you don't see immediate results. But remember, every action you take is planting a seed, and seeds need time to sprout. So, when you're building a new habit, focus less on the immediate outcome and more on the process. Celebrate the small wins, stay patient, and keep going. Because in the realm of habits, it's those who embrace the long game, who understand the power of persistence, that truly reap the rewards. As we wrap up our journey today, let's take a moment to reflect. Habits, as we've seen, are more than just routines. They're the building blocks of our lives, the silent forces steering our destiny. Each small action, each choice, is a step towards the person we aspire to be. If there's one thing to take away, it's this: start small. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Focus on that 1% improvement, that 2-minute start. Because it's in these tiny, consistent steps that true transformation lies. Embrace the journey of self-improvement. Celebrate the highs, learn from the lows, and remember, every day is a new opportunity to shape your future. If you found value in today's exploration and are excited to embark on your own habit journey, do us a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Let's continue this journey together, one habit at a time.